Alright, so today we're diving into something that feels like it was cooked up in a fever dream after binge watching anime at 3 a.m. while surviving exclusively on instant noodles and bad decisions. We're talking about the absolute chaos lurking in the cosplay scene. And no, I don't mean the usual, this wig costs more than my rent type chaos. I mean actual, real life villain origin stories. Cosplay for the most part is harmless. It's just people dressing up as their favorite characters, hanging out, and collectively agreeing that social norms don't apply when you're wearing a 40-pound suit of armor indoors. It's fun, it's wholesome. It's also apparently the perfect breeding ground for some of the most unhinged behavior imaginable. Like, most people go to conventions to take pictures, meet friends, maybe spend $80 on a sword that will absolutely break in 2 weeks. But then there are a few individuals who show up and think, you know what would really elevate this experience? Felonies. And that's where things start to go off the rails. So let's start with our first case, which I like to call How Not to Handle Rejection, the Deluxe Edition. Back in 2019, there was this big anime convention in California. You've got the usual crowd, people dressed as ninjas, magical girls, probably at least 7 different versions of the same character for no reason. And in the middle of all this, you've got a guy who's really committed to his Power Rangers cosplay. Like, not just I bought a suit online committed, but this is now my personality committed. Now, within this cosplay group, there was a woman who also dressed as a Power Ranger. Pretty normal so far. Group cosplay, matching outfits, the whole thing. But our guy here decides he wants to turn this into a romantic subplot that nobody asked for. He confesses his feelings, she says no, and right here, right at this exact moment, this is where a normal human being would say, alright, fair enough, and move on with their life. Maybe eat a hot dog, take a selfie, call it a day. But no, not this guy. This man took rejection like it was a personal boss fight and decided he was going to go full supervillain. Instead of moving on, he starts stewing, like really marinating in this rejection, letting it cook, simmer, turn into something way more unhinged than it ever needed to be. And eventually, he lands on a plan that is so wildly disproportionate it almost feels fake. He decides the best course of action is arson. Yeah, not a text message, not awkward silence, straight to burning things down like he just unlocked a new ability tree. So during one of the nights of the convention, he casually strolls into a hotel parking lot where her car is parked. And I'm talking casual, like he's just out for a midnight snack. No urgency, no hesitation, just vibes. He walks up to the car, pours gasoline all over it, and lights it on fire like he's trying to recreate a dramatic movie scene. Except this isn't a movie, this is real life. And real life doesn't cut away when things get out of hand. Because the fire doesn't just stay on one car. Oh no, it spreads. Multiple cars get caught up in it, turning the whole parking lot into what I can only describe as a live-action disaster DLC. Flames everywhere, alarms going off, people evacuating, it's a mess. And the craziest part? This all started because someone said no thanks.
Like, one of the police officers were cutting through one of the cars. This is crazy. I think one of the people that we actually know, their cars are like completely melted. Lock his ass up!
Now, thankfully, nobody was physically hurt in all of this, which is honestly the only reason this story isn't sitting in a much darker category. But property damage? Oh yeah, that was doing numbers. Multiple cars got absolutely cooked. Like, we're talking insurance company just fainted levels of damage. At first, there was some confusion about what even happened. Fires in parking lots don't usually scream romantic rejection gone nuclear, so authorities were trying to piece it together. But then, plot twist, they get their hands on surveillance footage. And it's not even subtle. This man is on camera doing the whole thing like he's filming a tutorial. Walk up, pour gas, light it, leave. No disguise, no urgency, just the confidence of someone who thought this was somehow a reasonable life decision. And here's the part where his master plan immediately collapses like a house made of wet cardboard. The victim and people in the cosplay group see the footage and instantly recognize him. I mean, yeah, when you spend your weekends dressed as a brightly colored superhero with the same group of people, you're not exactly hard to identify. This isn't some mysterious figure in the shadows. This is, oh hey, that's Greg from the group chat energy. So naturally, he gets arrested. And not just for the arson, but also for stalking, because of course that was part of the package. You don't just wake up one day and go from, hey, I like you, to let me set your car on fire without some deeply concerning steps in between. He ends up with a massive bail, and the whole situation becomes a huge deal within the community. But here's the one genuinely positive thing to come out of this dumpster fire, literally and figuratively. The community actually rallied together. People supported the victims, helped raise money for the damages, and basically did what this guy should have done from the start. Act like a decent human being. So yeah, that's case number 1, a masterclass in how to turn a simple rejection into a full-blown criminal charge speed run. And if you're thinking, wow, that's probably the craziest one, ho buddy, we're just getting warmed up. Let's move on to case number 2, which somehow manages to be even more bizarre, and also feels like it was written by someone who spun a wheel of random words and just committed to the result. The Raven Cosplay Kidnapping Case. This one involves a cosplay choice that I still cannot wrap my head around. So picture this, a small town situation, late at night, already kind of sketchy vibes. A young girl ends up getting picked up by a group of people she apparently knew. Now that part is important. This wasn't some random snatch and grab situation at the start. There was some level of familiarity, which makes everything that happens next way more unsettling. Because instead of, dropping her off or just acting normal, things take a hard left turn into, why are you like this? They take her to an isolated area, never a good sign in any story, ever. And that's when everything goes from questionable to straight up criminal. She's restrained, assaulted, and then just dumped like she's a side quest item they didn't feel like carrying anymore. It's awful, no jokes there. Just genuinely messed up behavior from people who clearly should not be allowed within 50 feet of society. But here's where the story takes a turn into the absurd. Because when authorities finally track these people down, and it doesn't take long, since, again, this isn't exactly a mastermind operation, they release photos of the suspects. And in those photos, one of them is in full cosplay. Not just any cosplay, by the way. A very recognizable, very dramatic character outfit that looks wildly out of place given the situation. And the internet, being the internet, immediately latches onto that detail like it's the only thing that exists. So the authorities release the mugshots, right? Standard procedure. You expect the usual, blank stares, maybe someone looking like they just realized consequences are a real thing. But instead, one of them looks like they got arrested halfway through Comic-Con. She's sitting there in full cosplay. And not like, oh, I've got a themed hoodie on. No, I'm talking full commitment. Cloak, outfit, the whole dramatic aesthetic like she just stepped out of a scene and into a felony.
2 are behind bars tonight after being arrested for kidnapping a girl in Jackson County, Florida. Colby Jerome Jordan is accused of kidnapping a girl Friday evening. The 2 then met up with 2 other females, one of whom is Molly Michelle Jarrett.
Just to be clear, because this is important, the situation itself is not funny. What happened to the victim is genuinely awful, and thankfully she managed to escape and get help. That's the part that actually matters here. The weird cosplay angle, that's just the bizarre cherry on top of a very messed up situation. Anyway, once the investigation kicks in, everything falls apart for these 3 geniuses almost immediately. The victim knows who they are, knows where they're from. It's basically the easiest case file imaginable. This isn't some high-level criminal mastermind operation. This is more like 3 people sharing one bad brain cell. They get arrested, charged, and eventually sentenced. And the sentences are no joke. Years in prison across the board. Which, yeah, good. That's exactly where they belong after pulling something like this. And that's kind of the running theme you'll notice here. A lot of these situations aren't these elaborate genius level plots. They're impulsive, reckless decisions by people who clearly did not think anything through beyond the first 5 seconds. The real life Superman assault incident. Now, if you thought that was the peak of weird energy, the next case takes a slightly different turn. It's less about someone in cosplay committing a crime, and more about someone becoming the target for no reason other than existing. And honestly, this one's probably the most frustrating of the 3. This one isn't about a cosplayer going full villain mode. It's about someone who is just minding his business, living his best superhero life, and somehow ended up getting dragged into a real-life boss fight he did not sign up for.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
So there's this guy. He's deaf, had a pretty rough upbringing, struggled socially, all that. Life didn't exactly hand him an easy difficulty setting. But eventually, he finds something that clicks for him. a Superman costume. And I know that sounds like the start of a joke, but it's actually kind of wholesome. He starts putting it on, goes out to a street corner in his town, and just performs. Shadowboxing, doing little action poses, basically entertaining people driving by. No hidden agenda, no weird gimmick, just pure, harmless energy. Like a one-man show with zero budget but maximum enthusiasm. And people loved it. Locals started recognizing him, cheering him on, honking as they drove past. He basically became this small-town legend. Not in a he saved the city way, but in a this guy makes my commute slightly less miserable kind of way, which honestly is a superpower in itself. Everything's going great. He's found his thing, people appreciate him. It's one of those rare moments where the internet would normally say, faith in humanity restored. And then, of course, someone has to come in and ruin it. Enter this other guy, who for reasons that I genuinely cannot comprehend, looks at this situation and thinks, yeah, I should fight him. Not talk to him, not ignore him, not just continue living his life. No, this man wakes up and decides he's going to beef with the local Superman. So he approaches him, starts mocking him, already a terrible look, and then it escalates into actual physical assault. Like, what are we doing here? You've got a guy in a Superman costume, shadowboxing for fun, bothering absolutely no one, and your response is to turn it into a street fight? That's not even villain behavior, that's just being aggressively pointless. And the worst part is, there's video of it. You can literally see this guy imitating the superhero's moves, like he's trying to parody him and then just randomly hitting him for real. It's like watching someone glitch between haha funny bit and actual crime.
I saw him imitating Ray's moves. In between imitating them, he would hit him for real.
Naturally, people are outraged, because this isn't some controversial figure, this is a guy the community actually liked. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He was just out there vibing in a cape. The attacker gets arrested pretty quickly, and from there, things only get weirder. When they question him, he's all over the place, denying everything, despite the fact that there's literal video evidence. Then he just completely unravels. We're talking full meltdown. Screaming, acting erratically, just spiraling in a way that makes it painfully obvious this guy is not operating on a stable frequency. He ends up getting charged, and rightfully so.
Oh my